Welcome to Galactic Historian, a series focused on bringing a historical perspective to the lore from sci-fi and space universes. In this episode, we're going to explore the factions that make up the main location of Cyberpunk 2077, Night City. Think of this as a primer, a starter to understand the players of the world you're in. Let's start with the top and work our way down. Arguably, the true rulers of the city are Arasaka. Arasaka is a Japanese-based megacorporation who had a hand in the creation of Night City itself, being one of the first financial backers for Richard Knight. The company is mainly a manufacturing, security, and banking firm, servicing clients all over the planet. Their most visible assets are their security and private police forces, which are known worldwide for their efficiency and use of high-tech weaponry. It is important to understand that this company holds military might similar to that of a first-world country today, with soldiers, engineers, armored vehicles, aircraft, and even supercarriers. Their security division is backed up by their manufacturing division, which makes a variety of goods, but most importantly, weapons and armor. This has been the company's bread and butter for over 150 years, having been formed in Japan as an arms manufacturer just before the First World War. Their banking services have led the world for years, being one of the first to dump the speculative investments in the market and move to R&D around the crash of '94. In 2077, Arasaka has a firm grip on Night City, and its enemies are numerous. Yet still, it holds a position of being top dog in the City of Dreams. Next, we'll talk about the direct rival of Arasaka for almost a century, the military arms manufacturer and private security firm, Militech. Founded during the collapse, Militech managed to become the sole arms manufacturer for the US military, and since then has slowly gained control of the new USA. The main products of Militech are their military hardware. Everything from small arms to tanks and more are made by the security giant, now the military wing of the new USA. Trauma Team International is the premier provider of ambulance and paramedical services in the world. But given this is the hyper-capitalist future of Cyberpunk, only the most elite can afford their services. They were founded sometime before 2020 in Seattle, Washington, in direct response to the rise in crime around the city, and quickly grew around the world. What makes Trauma Team different from other services is their willingness to fight to save your life. Literally. Combining paramilitary teams with highly specialized medics and insurance plans, TTI offers services to those who want the best chances of surviving the post-apocalyptic future of the Cyberpunk universe, offering teams on call 24/7 in fleets of flying vehicles called Aerodynes. The last corporation we're going to discuss straddles the line between government and company, Netwatch. Elevated to global police in 2013, Netwatch operates out of London, England, and is responsible for policing the worldwide communications network known as the Net. They function as a web police, hunting down netrunners trying to break into corporate databases, steal sensitive secrets, and other illegal activity. They also protect what is known as the Black Wall, a virtual wall believed to keep sentient AIs from flooding into the net. Now, let's talk about the kings and queens of the combat zones, the cybernetic booster gangs of Night City. The lowest of the low in the city are the Scavengers, or Scavs. These brutal bruisers are only loyal to the almighty Eddie and have no particular location of where they operate out of. With connections in the new Soviet Union, many of the members speak Russian and wear the traditional tracksuits of Russian gangsters. When they aren't killing for hire, they mostly sell low-end cyberware, often pulled from living humans, who they brutally murder. Next, let's talk about the chromed-out Cyberpsychos of the Maelstrom. Only slightly less brutal than the Scavs, the Maelstrom operate out of the docks and are easy to spot, with their leather, chrome, and high-profile cyberware. They're also seen as barbaric, getting a thrill out of the most savage and violent acts. They are firm believers in the occult and are fascinated by cyberware, the net, and otherworldly sensation. As such, one of their main rackets outside of the high-end cyberware are black market braindance records. Now, let's tackle the veterans of the Fourth Corporate War turned violent street gang, the Sixth Street. Founded as a means to keep the peace in the Vista del Rey neighborhood, this gang has evolved to be every bit the ruthless thugs of other gangs in the city, forcing neighboring neighborhoods to pay protection while draping themselves in old-fashioned Americana and military regalia. They mostly make money with their brilliant techies, who run many of the garages in the city, and offer combat taxis for mercenaries and edge runners. This also has made them close with the local nomad families, often being the middlemen in fencing and gun smuggling operations. Next, we'll talk about the most honorable gang in the city, the Valentinos. Rulers of Haywood, they are one of the largest and oldest gangs of the combat zones. Ruled by a strict moral code and century-old traditions taken from their roots in Mexico, they are one of the most respected gangs in the city, treating their neighborhood like an extended family and allowing people of all backgrounds into their fold. Fight and die for the neighborhood and be remembered as a saint, but if you betray their strict code of honor, they will be dogged in hunting you down and giving you a gruesome death. They're also one of the most legitimate booster gangs in Night City, owning legal bars, auto shops, nightclubs, braindance studios, betting parlors, and local construction companies. However, these places are also often the meeting places for the gangs to plan and execute their smuggling, robberies, hit jobs, prostitution, and illegal weapon mods. Now, let's turn to the gangs of Pacifica, some of the most brutal boosters in the entire city. Let's take a look at the Voodoo Boys. They practice ritualistic magic, performed specifically to help bring them luck while they ply the old net for long-lost secrets, and combating Netwatch while trying to break down the Black Wall. Their direct competitors in Pacifica are the Animals, a hyper-violent bodybuilding booster gang who are fascinated with the primal side of human nature. They're famous for raiding other gangs, often being hired as muscle for other groups, specializing in racketeering and assault, though most of them organize illegal pit fights and manufacture drugs and anabolic steroids. Lastly, let's look at the gangs of Watson and Japantown. One of the largest and most well-connected gangs in the city are the Tiger Claws. Inspired by the Yakuza families, the Claws control the nightlife of Night City. They're almost entirely legit, owning the legal nightclubs, braindance clubs, brothels, and casinos. However, most of these are money laundering fronts for their human trafficking, prostitution rings, as well as their professional hit squads and drug operations. What makes them unique is their close ties with Arasaka upper management, who often give the Tiger Claws jobs the corporation needs done without leading back to them. This leads us to the last and smallest of the gangs of the cities, the Moxies, a gang who exclusively operate out of Lizzie's bar in Watson. Formed after the Tiger Claws murdered the ex-prostitute turned club owner, Lizzie Moxie Borden, their sole purpose is to protect the sex workers and sexual minorities of the neighborhood, especially from the Tiger Claws. Because of their narrow focus, they only operate around the vicinity of Lizzie's bar and rarely get involved in outside squabbles, but remain on dicey terms with the Tiger Claws, who are pushing into their neighborhood. There you have it. Those are the factions of Night City you should know before stepping into the world of Cyberpunk 2077. Remember that the world is a harsh one. Everyone looks out for themselves, so choose your enemies and allies carefully. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button and maybe send us a few eddies on Patreon to keep the feed open. Would you like to learn more about the universe of Cyberpunk? Interested in more stories of the various people and groups of Night City? Let me know in the comments below, and remember, ex Historia ad Astra.